In Vancouver's 2025-2026 reality, gentrification doesn't always look like a wrecking ball. Sometimes it looks like a revitalization plan, poster taped to a window while the venue inside quietly scrambles to cover a rent hike. It looks like glossy public realm upgrades that promise vibrancy, while the city's actual cultural producers, working artists, small galleries, DIY music rooms, artist-run centers get priced out of the very neighborhoods they helped make desirable in the first place. The basic mechanism is old, but the tempo feels faster now. Land values rise, commercial leases reset, and cultural spaces, rarely holding long protected tenures, become the soft target in the real estate churn. Vancouver's been warned about this for years in its own cultural planning. When cultural space is lost and creators are displaced, cities don't just lose vibes, they lose economic activity, community glue, and identity. The city of Vancouver's culture. Shifter framing is blunt about what happens if cultural space erosion continues. Displacement of artists and creators and an unprecedented loss of cultural space. The 2025 headline, Cultural Spaces Fighting for Oxygen. In late 2025, one story captured the pressure perfectly. VIVO Media Arts Centre, an artist-run institution in Vancouver's media arts ecosystem, publicly warned that it was facing a rent affordability crisis. Reporting described VIVO's emergency fundraising push and the risk of closure if it couldn't bridge the gap. VIVO's own public messaging on Instagram made the squeeze feel painfully concrete. Posts describing steep rent increases, urgent fundraising targets, and the emotional weight of possibly losing a long-standing cultural home. That's gentrification's cultural impact in a sentence. Not artists move away in the abstract, but institutions and venues that anchor whole scenes pushed into crisis mode because their fixed funding can't match real estate inflation. 2026 adds a second pressure. Public austerity meets private escalation. If rising rents are the private side squeeze, 2026 signals a public side squeeze too. Local reporting on Vancouver's arts community described proposed cuts to the city's 2026 arts budget, landing as yet another frustration for a sector already contending with high operating costs and unstable space. And on the policy side, a city council motion on arts and cultural infrastructure highlighted how large the replacement cost problem has become, pointing to an estimated $900 million replacement cost for aging, disappearing cultural infrastructure, citing the city's cultural spaces inventory. Put those together and you get a brutal equation for venues and artist spaces in 2025-2026. Market costs climb while the public cushion thins. Even spaces that survive often shrink. Fewer shows, fewer residencies, fewer risk-taking bookings, because survival becomes the art form. Revitalization can become a cultural sorting machine. Planning language matters because it shapes who gets to stay. Vancouver is actively pursuing major housing and revitalization initiatives in this period. Big plans, big timelines, big stakes. But when neighborhood change is driven by rezoning and redevelopment, the people and places with the least leverage, renters, low margin, small businesses, and arts venues often absorb the shock first. Advocacy voices have been especially loud around the Broadway Plan area, warning that mass rezoning can accelerate displacement and gentrification. For local artists and venues, Displacement isn't just moving apartments, it's losing the affordable rehearsal room, the scrappy gallery, the back room that books experimental DJs, the community theater with the forgiving rental policy. Once those are gone, you can't rebuild the scene with a ribbon cutting. Scenes are ecosystems, not amenities. The irony scholars keep pointing to, art can be used to sell the change that pushes artists out. Scholarly work on Vancouver has long noted the complicated role of art in gentrification, how art can function as grassroots expression and be leveraged as a creative city signal that helps neighborhoods become more desirable. Research on community-based public art in the downtown Eastside, for example, interrogates how public art and artists can be pulled into gentrification processes even when the intent is community-rooted. Vancouver-focused writing has also criticized developer art dynamics, public art tied, directly or indirectly, to development incentives and value-making in the urban landscape. In 2025-2026, you can see this tension play out in real time. Culture is used as proof a district is worth investing in, while the people producing that culture face shrinking room to operate. Social media makes the displacement legible and contagious. One change from earlier decades is how quickly cultural loss becomes visible now. When a venue is threatened, the story doesn't just live in a council agenda. It spreads through Instagram posts, Facebook shares, and community comment threads, fundraisers, petitions, last-minute benefit shows, remember when reels. VIVO's campaign is a clear example of a local arts organization using social platforms to translate rent policy into human stakes. Even nightlife and entertainment district debates, often framed through safety, disorder, and revitalization, are now amplified through popular local pages that shape public sentiment and indirectly political cover. The algorithm loves conflict. Gentrification supplies it. What gentrification costs Vancouver in 2025-2026? The loss isn't just sentimental. When artists and venues are pushed out, Vancouver loses. Entry points for emerging talent, cheap stages, small galleries, weird nights, cultural continuity, the long-running spaces that mentor scenes across generations. Neighborhood belonging, third places that aren't $19 cocktails. Economic spillovers, audiences who eat, transit, shop, and linger. And perhaps the most Vancouver-specific loss, the city risks becoming a place that looks creative in marketing and public art renderings, while the actual creative class lives an hour away or leaves entirely. If 2025 was the year multiple spaces publicly signaled we're in trouble, 2026 is shaping up as the year Vancouver has to decide whether culture is a decorative layer on top of development or a form of infrastructure worth protecting with the same seriousness as housing, transit, and public safety.